How's it going, everyone? This is Nick here with McGaughys Suspension. I've got this beautiful red 2024 GMC AT4 2500 edition truck in front of me here. This is a third part of a three-part series of us doing videos on this truck. It started off with a 7 to 9 inch kit. The truck owner had it for a while, almost a year, and then reached out when we had our 4-inch kit and said, hey, I want to lower the truck down. I'm changing up direction of what I was doing with the truck, and I think your 4-inch kit will be perfect for what I'm looking for. So we did a video on the 7 to 9 inch kit. You can go back and look at that one. And then we did another video about taking apart the 7-inch kit and putting it down to the 4-inch kit. And the reason why we did that video was so then if anyone else was in the same situation where they were trying to lower their truck, then we could go through all the steps and make sure that we knew as a company all the little things that we could refer the installers or do-it-yourselfers on what to do. You can go back and see that video of how that all turned out. Pretty straightforward, and here we are with the 4-inch kit. So in the previous videos, I wasn't sure what the color was, and a lot of people reached out and commented and said that it's called a volcanic red. I looked it up on GM's website. It's like volcanic red tri-tint or tint tri or something like that. But it is a beautiful color. It's just insane in the sun how it pops. And then when it's overcast or dark out, the truck just completely, the color just changes in a whole different direction and it looks different. So when the sun's out, it's the best time to shoot this truck because this red just absolutely pops. So let's get into the details of this setup on this truck currently. It is running on our 4-inch McGaughys non-torsion bar drop kit. And what that means is that the torsion bars do not drop down from the factory location. As you can see there, there's a bracket that keeps and maintains the torsion bars in the factory location so they're not dropped down. That helps out with ground clearance and then also aesthetics too as well. Not really anything different of like a performance reason, but just really just overall look. And then just another thing too is that in theory, if the kit was at 4 inches and you try to drop down the torsion bar, the torsion bar would actually intersect with the cross member, and it's not possible. So if you have a drop, it has to be like 5 inches or further. I don't have the exact details on what the lowest point is, but I know at 4 inches, true 4 inches, the torsion bar will intersect with the cross member, and so it has to be a non-torsion bar at that point, let alone it looks really nice. So something about our kit that I want to point out, which is a major plus, is that this kit does not increase the track width on either side of the truck. So that means it does not push out the wheel and tire combination. It stays factory. So the front will match the rear. And as you can see here, you got just a slight amount of poke coming out on the outside with these tires and wheels. I'll go ahead and talk about the tires and wheels real quick here. They're 37-1250s. They're Nitto Ridge Grapplers, really nice tire. See them on a lot of trucks, and they're just a great all-around tire. A lot of people have been having great luck with them. This wheel is a Fittipaldi wheel in a 20x10, and it's a -19 offset, which offset is the front side, how far out it comes out. That's -19 from the mounting flange. And then the back spacing, which is from the mounting flange to the inside, it's 4.75. So something to note is that this is a little bit more of aggressive pushing out wheel and tire. Well, not the tire because the tires are 1250s, but the wheel is protruding the wheel out with the tire a little bit further than what we'd like to see. It is possible, as you can see here on this truck, but you have to modify and cut the front bumper to make that possible there. And on this side, the mud flaps, the factory mud flaps that hang down, those have been completely just removed, and a little bit of the body had been cut off. Now that was already all done prior to the old setup, so we haven't touched that. Our goal was to bring this kit down to an actual 4 inches of ride height, but it ended up being actually 4 5/8, just a little bit over 4.5 inches of ride height. And after driving the truck, I was going to lower it down, but I put a couple 100 miles on it, and I noticed that going in and out of driveways, I was starting to get a little bit of rubbing on it, turning, and I didn't want to have to cut anything more. So we brought it up to 4 5/8 of lift, and then put the 2 shims out back. So it's got the 1 3/4 rear block with 2 1/4-inch shims. And with that said, it still has a little bit of rake to it. So the rear is a little bit higher than the front. We don't measure off the front fenders or the rear fenders because the front fenders are cut higher than the rear, so you don't want to go off of that. What we like to do is go off the rocker panel, the rocker pinch weld that's right underneath the doorway here, that little pinch weld right there, and that continues on evenly across the bottom of the truck. The front pinch weld to ground is 23¼ inches, and the rear is 23¾ So we've got 1/2 inch rake. So the front's down 1/2 inch, the rear is up 1/2 inch for a rake. It doesn't look that aggressive because on these trucks, I like to tell people and just mind that this hood and front end is a lot higher than the bed rail line. So when the truck is level, it usually looks like the truck is lower in the back. And then obviously with this angle right here, it does kind of put the vibe or feel that the back end is lower. But trust me, the truck has a 1/2 inch of rake to it. I've measured those out. Speaking of measurements, I measured out the front wheel wells, the pinch welds, the roof height, the bed rail height, the bed floor height, the hitch. All those measurements you can find down in the description. That'll help you out build your truck to emulate this truck, and then also know what you're gonna expect for overall finalized, ride heights and stuff like that. A lot of guys are building these trucks and they're trying to put them underneath a carport or possibly in a garage, and you want to know what your roof height is. Maybe you're doing a cab over camper, or you're doing a fifth wheel or gooseneck, and you need to know what the bed rail height is. All those measurements, you can find them down below. That'll help you out building your truck. So some of the stuff back to the suspension side of things on the front end, we have our upper control arms, and these have the stainless top plates with a billet ball joint cap that is satin black. And then obviously you see those M84 series shocks back there. This thing rides really nice at this ride height. If we were to go any higher, I would probably say that it might deter a little bit, but you can go safely. I like to try to tell people go safely up to maybe max 5.5 inches of ride height. If you're trying to stretch it out to 6 inches, you can, but at that point you should probably start looking at our 7-inch kit, and that will give you ride height, but relax all the working angles and everything underneath the truck, so you'll have the best working angles and drivability out of the front end of the truck. Let's talk about those working angles here. So we are really proud. As you can see here, you have the CV shafts, the tie rod angles, the ball joint angles. All those are nice and relaxed, like this truck came off the showroom floor. And the significance of that is that you have now a direct push and pull on the steering, so you're going to put less wear and tear on your drag link moving up and down and twisting, which then in return puts or decreases how much wear and tear is on your pitman and idler arm. So GM owners are really used to hearing, oh, my idler and pitman arm are shot and I have a lot of slop in my steering. Well, when you're at more of a working angle, all the force is pushing up and pulling down on that center link, and that center link is got an S-bend on the end of it, and so it rotates back and forth. It abuses that rotation back and forth more, which puts more wear and tear on the pitman and idler arm. So at this point here, this has a great working angle when it's turning left or right or going straight down the road, and obviously with the bigger tires picking up more road, offsetting cracks and holes and everything else in between. So a lot less abuse on the front end with the tie rod. And then obviously you can see the CV angle, which is at optimum, horizontal angle. So it has full up travel and down travel. It's not maxed out or anything like that. Also take note here, you'll see that upper bolt that's in the factory frame position where the lower control arm used to be. And then you have the new bolt with the new position of the lower control arm. That right there is straight up and down, and that's exactly 4 inches between those two, center to center. So 4 inches of lift, and you see here the control arm angle is nice and flat. But with that, again, like I was saying, is that that bolt is straight up and down of each other. That means that there's no track width gain on this kit. You can, any other kit on the market, you can look at those bolts there. You can measure the left to right bolt position span, and then the new lift kit bolt span, and that will give you at least a good idea of how much track width it is gaining. Ours has 0 track width gain. So again, really nice setup, been driving it, and these shocks are just, they are valved really nice for the seat of your pants performance. Steve is the owner and engineer of McGaughys, Steve McGaughey. He's the guy. And he's put a lot of time and dedication into these shocks, in-house valving, and taking them on and off his own personal truck that he's been developing this product on. And that's the black GMC AT4 that you've seen posted a bunch. He's put a lot of time and dedication into it, and it has proven to be a great outcome. Like I said, I've been driving this truck. It rides great. If you want to squeeze, I do have people ask, like, what's the best setup? What's the best suspension to get the best ride quality? Well, suspension is only half the situation, or part of the situation. So it's a combination between a couple different things. First is obviously you want to go with a good suspension that at the ride height that you're choosing is going to have relaxed angles, or at least close to relaxed angles, and you're not maxed out of droop travel. If you're maxed out, your truck will be going over, you know, obstacles going down the road, whether it's speed bumps, potholes, G-outs, or any of that stuff that you're going to see. We're not talking like off-road performance. We're talking about street performance. And if the suspension's stretched out, the suspension has nowhere to drop down into, and so the whole truck drops down into the hole or whatever it is that you're hitting going down the road, and you're going to feel that into the cab of the truck. That's where rough ride starts. So the first thing is making sure that you pick a lift kit that is correct for your wheel and tire combo and the ride height that you're looking to achieve. So that's number one. Two is having a good shock in place that's going to control that suspension travel. And again, we've done a really good job of producing a really nice valved shock for this application. The next thing is going to be your wheel and tire selection. Obviously something that has less aggressive knobbies on it, it's going to help ride better. But then the other thing to consider too is how wide you go with the wheel and how wide you go with the tire is one big significance. And then also how much sidewall you have on your tire and wheel combo. So, you know, the guys that will DM us or call us or just, you know, are seeking, hey, what's the best I can do? And then you start telling them, and then you ask them what size wheel and tire they want, and they say, I want to go a 24 by 14, 24 by 12, or anything large. Anything over a 20-inch wheel will start to hinder the ride quality. You just have to live with the look. And a lot of people are totally fine with that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But again, just these are hints on how to achieve the best with your purchase and what you're spending money on with your truck. So I'm not downing that direction. If that's what you want to do, by all means, go for it. But I'm just trying to help out the people that are listening and trying to learn how to create the best overall experience. You're going to gain it with going with an 18-inch wheel or at most a 20-inch wheel. Anytime you go over a 20-inch wheel, that's where you have to just understand that you're just going along with the look. And you can still achieve a pretty good ride quality, but if you rode in both trucks side by side, you'll notice a difference just between the wheels and tires, because a lot of these bigger wheels also start to become really heavy, and that unsprung weight is very noticeable going down the road while you're driving, and it makes for a rough ride. So those are just hints. If you guys ever have any questions about any of these videos or any of these setups, any of these measurements or anything like that, I am more than happy to go over them with you personally on your exact needs or concerns, because everyone's concerns are a little bit different. Everyone comes from a different standpoint of asking questions and wondering and what have you. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to me. My name is Nick. I handle social media on Instagram and on Facebook, and you're more than welcome to DM me on those platforms. Unfortunately, I'm usually on the road and, you know, checking in with shops and doing videos like this, so I'm not in the office to where you can call me, but send me a DM, more than happy to help you. Also, comments on YouTube. Comments are really hard to follow along with, so if you do comment, I'll try my best. At worst case, you know, YouTube does not have a messaging system, so unfortunately you can't use that. So again, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. Let's go over one more thing here. Let's talk about these bumpers, because I had some people asking in the previous videos about these bumpers, and these are Chassis Unlimited aftermarket bumpers that they make. They're a pretty cool design. From what I know, this is like a three-piece setup, to where the cool thing about it is that, and just I want to note also, this is one of the owners of Chassis Unlimited's truck. He's a friend of mine, and I've had this truck because he gave it to me to allow me to produce some content and to shoot some videos and also help him, bring it down to a 4-inch kit. So I want to, again, he's nice enough to allow us to have the time to do this stuff with the truck. I want to, obviously show you guys his bumpers too as well. So this is, I don't remember which model this is. You can go to their website, but they make a few different models, but this is one of their bumpers in the rear. And obviously they have all the stuff for the lane changing. They have rear lights, pockets, and then over on the side here, they have these step bars. And in the previous video, when the truck was taller, it had little steps that hung down, another second step that hung down because the truck was taller. We took those off because the truck isn't as tall anymore. Didn't really need it. And then on the front here, we've got a bumper that they make that's a Prolite series bumper that houses a front light bar and a winch as well. So this one's pretty cool because you don't lose your whole factory bumper. You still retain that look, but you get the functionality of having a light and having a winch in there at the same time. Other than that, I think the truck's pretty stock. Drives well, runs well. It doesn't really have that many miles on it. So it's a really clean all-around truck. And the owner of the truck hasn't even seen it firsthand. I've had it this time since, for the last month and a half or so, I think it's been. And I think it's time to give it back to him. He's ready for it to be back and gonna use it this summer, probably pull a boat, probably pull a trailer, whatever else he has in store. But I know for a fact that he's gonna be happy with it. You guys let me know what you think. This color is pretty awesome. We don't really see that many trucks in this color. It's not for everyone, but it is a beautiful color. I'm not a red guy, but damn, that color just pops. So let me know what you guys think about the color. Let me know what you guys think about the stance with these wheels and tires. These wheels are really nice. They're all gloss black, and it really just changes and sets the tone of this truck. It goes really well with this AT4 package. Again, guys, if you guys want to purchase product, reach out through DM. We can connect you with a authorized dealer. You can call us at the office, talk to one of the sales rep. They can set you up with an authorized dealer. We don't sell direct at this given point, but you can go and look on our website at all the product on there. We don't sell retail, so we have to direct you over to one of our retailers to help you out with it. But we're more than happy to help you with your truck, with your questions. So get in touch with us, and we can set you up with any type of answers or who to purchase from. I appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you very much for reaching out. I've had a lot of people that reached out and asked questions, so I do like that people are taking advantage of that. Again, guys, Nick with McGaughys Suspension. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for the support.